Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. Let's make a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Medaka Kuroiwa is Impervious to My Charms, Season 1, Episode 9. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we finally get a proper introduction to Mona's best friend, Tomo, childhood best friend. I don't know what I expected Tomo's personality to be. She's very like teasy and playful. I guess I almost thought she was gonna be like the serious cool character, but it's like, well, to be fair, Asahi already fills that void, so it's like why they wouldn't have a second person. It's interesting because like when you look at the pairings, it's almost like Mona and Asahi are like opposites to each other in some ways, but then I guess you could almost make the parallel that like Minami and Tomo are kind of similar. I mean, they both play a similar role for their respective best friend that they're trying to help with the whole Medaka thing. But either way, I love that Mona was texting her like, "Oh my god, you're going to be in Tokyo? That's amazing." She's like, "Yeah, I could come pick you up at school." She's like, "Don't you dare do that." And they had that conversation later on, and it's kind of what I've talked about previously. Like, it was just like a little exchange between Tomo and Mona in a text, like a couple episodes back, and I was like, oh, Tomo sees through Mona's BS. She's like not like swept up in Mona's BS like literally everyone else is. Because even she's like, wait, are you still doing that like cutesy ditzy thing that you used to do back in school too? Because they haven't seen each other in like a year and a half. So it's like, which I think is so interesting because obviously they're both from Osaka, but I wonder, was she not in Osaka the past year and a half or whatever? Was she somewhere else? Because Mona's only been here like, well, yeah, because no, it times out because like she's been here that long, but like Madaka's only been here like half the year or whatever because time is moving pretty fast. Because school starts in the spring in Japan, so like, and it's already like November at this point in time. Consider, well, it might still be October since no, it's definitely November considering we're past Halloween. So yeah, either way, but yeah, she was just like, oh, you're still doing that whole thing. And she does change her demeanor. She still has her little cutesy moments around her friend when it was like, oh yeah, I bought you this particular food from back home. She's like, oh my God. But then like other times, like how she talks inside of her head when she's not playing up the whole Mona role that she has at school. She's just herself, because she even says like, I don't want to mix my public friends with my schoolmates, because she's like, I basically wear two different masks and I don't want that to slip around anyone else. So I thought that was such interesting that even she, obviously she has the wherewithal because she knows, but it's a whole performance that she puts on to be like the perfect cutesy Mona. So I thought that was interesting. But we find out that basically years ago, like Mona broke the heart of every guy at school because every guy fell for her, but she rejected them all. But then like apparently you have Tomo, who is a tease and a flirt, immediately trying to like date everyone after the fact because she's like, oh, I see people who are kind of down and I want to help them. But it's like none of those relationships ever last because she's poking fun at Mona. It's like, oh, have you found, fallen truly in love and stuff? Because Mona's never been in a relationship. She has plenty of people have asked her out, but she's rejected everyone. And Tomo doesn't really have any real relationships either because they've all just been, just kind of like, she's a tease and a flirt. She's flirted with some guys being like, oh, you guys want to hang out with me and pay for this and that. And then the moment Mona shows up, she's like, oh, sorry guys, deal's off. It's like, she is a major, major tease. But then like, unfortunately for Mona, she runs into Kuroiwa in the Medaka, and it's like, of course, like why? Because Tomo's asking like, yo, do you have someone you like? And immediately Medaka comes to mind, but she's like, no, there's no one. But she's like, no, there's obviously someone. And then she starts noticing the way Mona's acting when Tomo forces Medaka to sit down, and of course just being like, ooh, like you're someone that knows my best friend, like, ooh, you seem like someone I could flirt with and stuff like that, and pushing on him and everything. And she can tell like Mona. That's the thing, like Mona's can't help herself because she doesn't even recognize like the evil eyes she's giving Tomo. But it's because even Tomo's like, something's off. Like, oh, this is the guy she was obviously thinking of. So, and she's playing it up, being like, oh, pushing on him and stuff. And obviously, Medaka's doing his whole thing, like, oh, no, clear my mind. And he's like, zip up your jacket the way you're dressed. And then she's like, oh, I can't. I've got stuff on my hands. He's like, well, get Mona to zip it up. She's like, no, you asked me to zip it up. And he's trying to zip it up, but he gets caught on her boobs. And he's just like freaking out. Luckily, his food's done. Well, it was more Mona being like, hey, cut it out. Oh, your food's ready. So it's all she did was arm her best friend with more ammunition to tease her with and for. But I knew Tomo was transferring. I was like, I figured that was the whole reason why she was in Tokyo. I guess she was just like, she was probably like getting the lay of the lands, but also like, I'm curious, did she ever plan on telling Mona that she was transferring? Because later on we find out she's like, oh, I'm transferring here because my dad's job. I'm almost like, there's a part of me that's almost like, is that complete and utter BS? I was like, there's no way you like decide to transfer that quick. Cause I was about to say like, I almost thought she made that decision like immediately after leaving Tokyo to like go back, but it's like no, there's no way she could have orchestrated a school transfer that fast just for the sake of like, oh, I'm gonna mess with Mona. But it's like, nah, I haven't seen my best friend in a while and I want to go to school with you. Like that's why I was like, she probably was never. The point I was making is I'm curious, was she going to tell her like after like they separated at the end, or until she found out about the Medaka of it all? And it's like, ooh, it's going to be that much more of a twist because I know you guys go to the same school. It's going to be that much more of a twist when I show up, and it's going to be that much more fun. I mean, she probably did have the plan of I'm never going to tell you until I show up at school and blow your mind that I'm there. So I did skip over a big thing, and obviously that's while Medaka was in class earlier, he ends up. Asahi is so embarrassed because their eyes locked and she runs away and dropped her student ID, and he brought it to her. And because Manami is telling her, like, right, you got stiff competition against Mona, you need to kind of, make a move. And it's like, oh, get like a kiss or two. That way it'll put you above her. And like, obviously Asahi has made it clear like she wants to do stuff like that, hold hands and kiss with Medaka. And it's funny, like Mona's got all these plans of what she's going to do, trying to get Medaka to fall for her, but she like has never really thought about that type of stuff earnestly, even though Asahi does, despite it embarrassing her. But yeah, Manami's like, oh, because you brought it back, why don't you pay Asahi back or allow her to pay you back by, you guys having lunch together? And so, but Asahi's so cute that she can't look at Medaka, so she blindfolds him during lunch. It's like, this way I can keep looking at him. Now she's thinking, like, if he was my boyfriend, could we hang out all the time? Could I look at him all the time? And so she makes a move, doesn't kiss him on the lips, but kisses him on the cheek. Because for her, it's like, yeah, trick or treat. She's like, I wish we could have hung out more on the Halloween party, but we didn't. So trick or treat, if you don't give me a treat, I'm going to pull a trick. And her trick was kissing him on the cheek. And he's like, what was that just now? And she's like, I'm not telling. So that's interesting because like Mona is completely unaware of that happening. So that's kind of interesting. I get the feeling Asahi's definitely the type that will probably hold that over Mona's head just to be like, oh, I didn't tell you, but a little while ago I kissed Medaka on the cheek. I'm sure, like, I don't know. I'm not unless she ends up telling Manami, and then Manami playing the wingman role decides to like throw that in to kind of twist the knife a little deeper into Mona. I have no idea. Or whether she just won't say anything because Medaka's not bringing it up because he doesn't know for sure what it was. I mean, he can probably guess like, was it a kiss? But he's like, no, I'm thinking too much. I do love the parallel of while she was eating, at the same time that was all happening, Mona ended up dropping like one of her like foods. So you're like, oh, that was kind of like a sign of like, oh, something's not right with the Force. Something's not right out there. So once again, completely unaware of all this happening. That's why I'm really curious about like the meeting of like both squads, because like once again, Asi has her earnestness about her approach to Medaka. Mona likes him, it's super obvious. She just hasn't really acknowledged it to herself, so she's still coming at it from the perspective of, oh, I'm in complete control. This is just me getting close to him just so I can make him fall for me like everyone else. Yada yada yada, right? But then like Manami being like the earnest wingman, same thing for Tomo. So it's interesting going to be. I would never figured like that's where their roles were going to be in this whole situation. I mean, you also have Tsubomi being kind of a wingman as well. So it's just all those dynamics of like, I would have never expected this to kind of turn into like the pseudo love triangle thing it was, because I thought it was all going to be Medaka, because that's the only thing I knew about. I didn't know about the Asahi angle up to this story too, so I wasn't expecting there to be this kind of love triangle situation, complicated one of that. But anyway, Tomo once again has a very playful personality, and she gets along well with everyone. So that kind of comes as no surprise. She's very friendly with everyone, and embarrassing Mona by like touching her chest and squeezing it because it's like, yo, I'm trying to show off your body to Medaka so he pays attention to you. And it's like I love that she did that, and like every boy, including Sho, including was it Yuzuru and Medaka and all the other guys are freaking out upon seeing that. But Mona told Tomo the truth. Is like, this is why I'm trying to get close to Medaka. And she's like, really? That's what you're doing? She's almost like, oh, that's so stupid. But then she's also like, it's extra stupid because you're obviously into him. She's like, what? No, I'm not. It's like, yeah, it's super obvious. All right, fine. I'm sorry. Like, right, why would you be into that guy? He's very rude. He's not really friendly. He's not really that cute. He's kind of cold. So I'm sorry I said that. But then Mona got defensive, being like, no, like, he might not always be, like, the most friendliest, but, like, he is very helpful. He's always there when you need him to be. And he always says the right thing at the right time. You know, he always says kind things, and he's very him, and just like saying all these very positive things about him. And she's like, see, my best friend is in love, and I'm going to help you out with this situation. And for Mona, it's the first time really coming to the realization, like, no, just no way I like him. Just you know, she still refuses. But it's like, that's where Tomo's place in the story is, to kind of smack her back to reality, to be like, yo, this is what's happening. And I'm also, because I love that Tomo also like screws with her by being like, yo, if you don't play along with me, like, or at one point in classroom, she said like, oh, if you don't play along, I'll basically expose you to an entire class that this whole Mona, like your whole cutesy persona thing is like complete and utter bullshit. So I'm sure she's going to be able to lord that over her friend's head to just be like, okay, because I'm sure like Tomo's probably going to try and get Medaka to kind of drop that facade and kind of just be herself from time to time. So that was going to be interesting. Really quickly too, I love that Sho was so pissed when he found out, like, oh, you ran into Mona and Tomo, like, you guys already been introduced, and he squeezes his face. He's like, why does this happen to you? It's like, to be fair, the only reason why he was there in the first place is because there was a rock, paper, scissors game, and he lost, and you guys sent him to get the food. So it's like, you could either say he has the worst luck, or as they're kind of seeing it, like, you have the most amazing luck, and that's complete and utter bullshit. So yeah, it's some very, very interesting developments. Like I said, I can't wait for both sides. Like Minami and Tomo, to me, I wonder how that dynamic is going to play. Considering once again they're the wingmen to their respective best friends, and how they meet, and there might almost be this like friendly competition, but also like a friendship born between them throughout all of this, of like, oh, may the best person win, or may the best person help their best friend win, type of thing. So I'm curious to see how that unveils. I'm curious to see more with Tomo now that she's here officially, and you know, and she's saying basically at her tenure, as long as she's here at this school, she's going to be helping out Medaka and Mona becoming a thing. So we'll see how all that plays out, how these dynamics continue to play out going forward. I'm very excited to see where it all goes. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.